Myself and Dragon have been doing a Marvel marathon recently. It's been interesting for us to rewatch the films that defined our teenage years.
I mostly saw them on DVD at home, sometimes catching them on TV. I rarely saw them in the cinema during the first two phases. Memory's a little hazy, so take that for what you will.
For myself, I wasn't properly exposed to the Marvel movie phenomenon until after Phase 1 concluded, as my parents bought a box set including all of the films. Slowly in Phase 2, I started seeing the movies in the cinema, with my family and friends as we collected them on Blu-ray. By Phase 3, I was watching nearly every release within its opening week, especially when I was in university, as myself and Dragon went together.
We should probably mention that we've only seen the Marvel films. We don't read the comics, so perhaps some of our issues are explained by the many years of built-on lore within the Marvel Universe. We don't exactly have the income or space to buy every single issue in existence.
In this video, we're looking at all of the movies within Phase 1. Returning to the earlier phases has allowed us to probably talk about our feelings on each phase and the films inside, since we've never seen all of them together until now. We're only doing ratings to be able to compare the films to one another. Most Marvel films are average at worst, so comparing a 1 out of 10 here to a 1 out of 10 for another film, it's just not the same. Here, below 5 means that it's a bad/average Marvel film, not that it's an awful film overall.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
A film that is a good introduction to the Marvel Universe, as the end credits, that are now famous, set up that more was to come and that there were other heroes. Robert Downey Jr. shines as Iron Man. Seriously, the man was made to play the role. Solid film. The villain was weak as his motivation is really weird. He just flipped because Tony no longer wanted to sell weapons. And rightfully so. The interesting thing was his relationship with Tony, with him publicly being nice to him, and them seeming to have a friendship and a good working relationship. Literally, we can't remember this guy's name, he is so forgettable. The standout side character was Rhodey, as his and Stark's friendship makes for a great comedic duo. Pepper was introduced in this film, but she, like many other characters, just weren't very interesting. A solid 7 out of 10.
What if I told you we were putting a team together? Who's we?
Now, we had to skip this one in the marathon since it wasn't available on Disney+, and I didn't have the collection on me at the time. We have both seen it though. Overall, it was just a big meh. It isn't helped that near enough everything set up in this film went down the toilet. The only things that remained was Bruce beginning to control his condition, and him eventually joining the Avengers. I only remember the love interest of Banner, because she's played by Liv Tyler, who's Arwen in Lord of the Rings. The film can easily be skipped, as everything with the Hulk is cleared up in Avengers Assemble. 3 out of 10.
Whoa. What? No, he took it? You're Iron Man and he just took it?
The film is just average. It starts to set up the issues that lead into the divide of Civil War, and starts to make the universe more complete with important characters, like Fury, becoming more involved. The villain is just kinda eh. The secondary villain, the wannabe Tony Stark, clearly was meant to be comedic, but he was frankly just shit. A wet noodle. Tony becomes an asshole because he's sick, and his issues aren't overly compelling and suddenly get solved very easily. Pepper at least gets a character upgrade and is more involved. Her relationship with Tony is great to see. We're introduced to Black Widow, but she's completely different to how she is in later films, as she's made out to be more sexy here. Her character was really lacking compared to how she is later. Rhodey's relationship with Tony isn't anywhere near as funny as it was last time. When I first saw the film, I didn't even realise he was meant to be Rhodey as they changed actors. It's better than Hulk because we remember more from it and added more to the universe, but isn't really needed. 4 out of 10.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
A great villain and the story of a hero learning to be humble. It expands the universe away from Earth and the superheroes there. It's well linked to the rest of the universe, as Coulson links this film and Iron Man. Coulson and the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. are better used in this film, since in Iron Man they're just there to keep an eye on Tony. It's clearer that they're a big organisation instead of Fury's babysitters for Stark. The characters of Thor, Loki, and their relationship are well set up. Thor is a little basic, but he's enjoyable to watch, and you can understand his struggles. Loki is just great. At long last, an interesting and memorable villain. The relationship between Jane and Thor, we have to say, is better read as a friendship, as the romance isn't entirely convincing, as they barely know one another, so at most there's mutual attraction and the budding of something. Selvig is a good foil to Thor and has a good relationship with Jane. Darcy is just there with nothing really meaningful to do, apart from admire Thor and be the dumb one in the room. A downside of this film is that the whole reveal of Loki being a frost giant was mostly forgotten in later films. It just doesn't come up much, and Thor himself doesn't seem to care about it. In addition, Thor's friends are very underdeveloped. They're just there to fight and be Thor's cheerleaders in Asgard. I never remember the names of the guys. I only remember their group name of Warriors 3. Fitting, I guess. Sif is the most developed, if you can even say that. It's like saying Bomber is developed because he's the fat dwarf. Maybe that's a little unfair to her, since she is the leader of the others after Thor is banished and actually speaks. But I digress, she's just not that compelling. 8 out of 10.
Strong and brave, here to save the American way.
It's not perfect, but it's great. Cap has it all. A good protagonist, interesting side characters, an interesting plot, clear character motivations, and a great, threatening villain. It's nice to see a Marvel film set in a different period, and the story is very self-contained. You can definitely watch this film either in the release order or in the chronological order, minus perhaps a post-credit scene. It's a good underdog story, as Steve is just lovely and kind, regardless of whether he's the little weedy dude or the hunky Cap. Peggy is a queen! It's a shame that she's never seen again in the movies. Guess I should really watch Agent Carter. It's all good. Mwah! Chef's kiss. My main gripe is in regard to the Tesseract. Nobody could touch it, and it's a dangerous hazard, yet in later films that isn't the case. It appears to kill Red Skull and burn out of the plane, but then in Assemble onwards, it's then seen physically handled by characters with no issue. 9 out of 10 film.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
The film that changed cinematic history by creating and solidifying the MCU. Not everything is 100% well explained, and the constant niggling between the heroes gets a little grating at points, but it shows that they're not used to teamwork with other heroes and that their big personalities initially clashed. It is also kinda weird that they decide to finally band together because Coulson died, since he wasn't particularly friends or close to any of them. He was merely the link between them and S.H.I.E.L.D. But the action is awesome, and the humour slaps.
Natasha is a much better character in this film. While she starts out again as a sexy lady fighter, once on the helicarrier, she's a better character and more representative of who she is later on. She's a spy first and foremost.
Hawkeye is cool, but there's a reason why he was memed for being the worst Avenger. It's alluded that he has a history with Matt, but that's about it for his character. He's just a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that cameoed in Thor. Dragon actually forgot he was there, which says something when we watch these back to back. He wasn't anything special, just a plot device, which is a bit crap since he's part of the main team. Hulk and Bruce are reintroduced to the universe in this film, and he's worked in really well, and his science buddy friendship with Tony is great. The whole thing about him being able to control his anger at the end does seem forced in, especially since most people don't count the Incredible Hulk in their marathons. It is a bit of a cop-out as they really emphasise the whole don't get him angry thing and the danger of the Hulk early on. There's a reason why Nat has other agents on standby to deal with Banner when she goes to collect him, and there's a reason why there's a Hulk containment pod on the helicarrier. He really doesn't seem to be the same guy from his individual film, and it isn't just a they changed the actors joke. I think they really just wanted to forget the movie existed.
Loki's army is just a faceless horde, which is great for the spectacle of the fights, but the Chitauri aren't really seen or heard of again. Also, them all dying because of the mothership blowing up, not really explained. Are they a hive mind or something? Loki, of course, shines, and is a good villain for them to face, and his new powers are explained by his new staff, though how obviously isn't there, but whatever, it's fun. He's got some good comedic moments. Yeah, great stuff. Solid 8.5 out of 10.
Well, obviously this phase was really important and a strong start to the MCU, otherwise it certainly wouldn't have continued. While it does have some weaker films, the stronger ones make up for it. It introduces us to everyone we need to know for the big crossover ahead of time, even if we think some characters had less than stellar introductions. We'll rate this phase overall at the end of our Phase 3 video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, thank you very much.
Bye.
I'm out.
Dragon out.